horrified. That's the one way of putting it. Hello, friends, patriots. Welcome, welcome in. SBG News and Views. I'm your co-host, Robert Imbriali, and I'm joined by the infamous, the very handsome Lewis Herms. Lewis, how you doing, my friend?
Well, we'll agree on the infamous.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I think the show's over. She pretty much said it
She
all.
nailed it, huh?
There's your wake up. Let's move on. And she looks like the quintessential soccer mom too. So I guess she's probably really frustrated because she sees the ramifications on her children and so on and so on.
Yeah. I think, it's a good sign. I'm seeing more videos like that. These are not hard to find anymore. There's more and more people. And kudos to her for having the bravery to come out and say, she was wrong. She believed all this stuff, and now the veil has been pierced, and now she sees what's really going on, and she had the guts to come out and do a video like that. That's fantastic. We need more people to do that, because the more we see it, the more that starts to catch on. That's contagious.
Well, and it's a relatable factor too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can only do so much, you can only do so much, but we have so many different personalities with certain backgrounds or attitudes or even looks that people can relate to. Hey, if she just affects 10 people, that's pretty huge. And then somebody else, one of those can affect 10 and so on and so forth. We'll be done pretty quickly.
Well, as long as our kids don't get kicked off the soccer team because mom all of a sudden
But
woke
that's
up.
okay. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's okay. And that's where we're going to. It's
Hmm.
it's it's okay if her kids get kicked off the soccer team. That should probably motivate her even more,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. Look at Mama Bear of Iowa.
Yeah.
Uh, we know her pretty well, and she's said she's just taking it to him. It motivated her to get active, and it's sad that a kid would get kicked off a soccer team for not, you know, it's okay though, and that's what we have to start learning. Instead of us getting triggered when we get slapped around by the deep state, that should be creating a stronger form of armor for us. So we'll now even fight back harder. And I think
Yeah.
that's the direction we're going in. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we have to get there, right? Because it has to come back to we the people. I think the frustration. I was talking to my coach this morning, a long coaching call with her, and I was asking her, "What are you seeing?" And she says she's seeing the same thing. The frustration level is very high, and it's got to come back to us, where we draw a line in the sand and we start not playing this game anymore. And the more, I thank God every day for Rumble. I thank God every day for Telegram and now for X that we have channels to get the word out, which we didn't really have that. If you go back to 2020, who knew about Telegram in 2020,
Yeah.
right?
The
Who knew about
Russians,
Rumble in 2020,
the Russians.
right? We didn't know. Yeah, we didn't know
No.
these platforms. Everything was Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Those are the ones we were all playing on. And, we would not be able to speak our minds and let people in on the truth had we not have these platforms. Okay, I think going forward, we're going to have even more platforms. There's rumblings in the background that more stuff is going to happen as people are waking up and seeing, wow, Elon's got this free speech little thingy. What the heck's he doing? And the thing's exploding. These other social media platforms. So boring, right? I'm on there, I'm off it in 5 minutes because there's nothing interesting on there because it's so censored. It's so plain vanilla. So we're growing, and the more of these kind of videos that we can get out there, the more people see it, the more that message will start to catch on, and people will go, okay, I'm frustrated. What do I do? Start talking about it. Let's just start there. It's really all we need to do, right? Get the
True.
ball rolling. Ah, what a day. What a day. So, we are sponsored today, this great show that you all love. And by the way, we get your messages. We thank you for all the love and all the support. It's been overwhelming sometimes to see how many people love this. And I was talking to Phoebe about this morning. Are we really doing enough here doing this show? And she reminded me, she says, you don't know what seeds you're planting and you don't know how far those ripples go. Like we're talking to somebody who's listening today, they might hear something, they might talk to their kid, they might talk to their neighbor, and it starts to spread. So we thank you for all your support. It's really important. And we thank Midas Gold Group. They sponsor our show. Matt Geiger, if you haven't spoken to him yet, or if you have filled out the form on his website, he is getting back to everybody. And he had a lot of people contact him on the weekend because of the Truthathon. He will help you understand whether or not gold and silver is the right investment for you. You can call him at 480-725-0536 or send him a text message. He does respond personally. Not one of his reps, not one of his flunkies, him personally. You get to talk to the main guy. We thank Matt for his support of our show. All right.
Yep.
Good guy, Matt. Really good guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to skip past a few things here. This didn't update. I got the wrong PowerPoints. Oh, well. Happens sometimes. You have these little technical issues. So I don't have PowerPoint working at the moment, which brings up the imagery. So you don't have the imagery for the moment. I'll try and fix it. So this just came out in, the Gateway Pundit. Judge Cannon is set to unseal information related to Obama judges' order piercing through Trump's attorney-client privilege in the classified documents case. That's a mouthful. But there was Judge Beryl Howell. You remember her, Judge Beryl Howell, the old lady? Anyway, she allowed Jack Smith's team to pierce through Trump's attorney-client privilege. Attorney-client privilege is real important because you got to be able to tell your attorney everything so that they can create the case. And there are some things that are shared in court, some things that aren't. Well, she pierced that. And she said, no, you turn over everything. Which, again, they got you, right?
It's disgusting.
It's disgusting.
And, it's hard to straddle that line that we're straddling between what's real and what's not real. And that's really where we are. But if it's not real, it's a good wake up tool. And if it's real, wow, that's pretty scary.
Yeah. Well, the whole legal system as we knew it basically thrown out the window, and you can do things like this, and you can go after an ex-president, and you can go after the way they're doing it. They threw the rules out, completely threw the rules out, and you look at what's going on in New York, it's crazy. So Aileen Cannon seems to be, she's down in Florida, she seems to be very much on our side on this. If like we said, we don't know if it's real, but if it's as real as it is because it's what we're learning, right? It is what it is. So she's set to release information related to Judge Beryl Howell's order piercing through Trump's attorney-client privilege. Cannon set a, listen to, telephonic status conference. Couldn't they just say telephone? No, yeah. Telephonic. It's for next Wednesday, May 8th, so we'll hear about it. And Jack Smith used a D.C. grand jury and a radical Marxist Obama-appointed judge, Beryl Howell, in a classified docs case before quietly roving down to Florida to file the charges. Judge Beryl Howell ruled against Trump at every turn. In fact, Howell previously ordered Trump's lawyer, Evan Cochran, to testify before a grand jury in special counsel Jack Smith's investigation into classified documents stored at Mar-a-Lago. We're going to have more on that today. This story gets really interesting today. Judge Howell flipped Trump's own lawyer, Eric Cochran, into a witness when she obliterated Trump's attorney-client privilege in a ruling. So this will be interesting to see this telephonic conference and where that goes coming up.
So interesting enough, I checked. So Judge Cannon, Aileen Cannon, she's actually from Colombia. She was appointed by President Trump. And she's a United States district judge. And that's kind of what you and I were guessing off air. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, that makes a lot of sense. So we'll see where this one goes, because we said about 4 years ago, his judge appointments were extraordinarily important. So let's find out how important this one is.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, PowerPoint's just not connecting. I don't know why today. It was working when we were testing everything just before we go live. We do this all the time. We always want to test and make sure things are working. And today, not so much. I'm not sure what's going on here. Anyway. I'm not going to futz with the technology. We're just going to, you know what they say, the show must go on, right, Lewis? No matter what, the show must go on. So we're going to.
The show must go on.
Have you been paying attention to the wild weather in Oklahoma?
Not Oklahoma particularly, but the Midwest and the South, they're getting hammered.
They had a tornado. I keep calling it a hurricane because it spins. It must be a hurricane. No. It's a cyclone if it goes this way, a hurricane that way. These are tornadoes. What's a tornado if it spins in the opposite direction? Trivia, people.
It's in Australia. It's a cyclone.
Who wants a copper penny? Anyone who guesses you get a copper penny, we'll send it to you. It costs us more to send it than it's worth. But
It does.
yeah. So Zachary Hall is an Arkansas weather guy, and he still cannot believe what happened in southern Oklahoma last night. Now, you heard earlier, we talked on Monday, we talked about everything that happened on the weekend down in that area, record-breaking tornado. This one was crazy. I said we likely experienced one of the most powerful tornadoes ever. It really wasn't expected, which makes it even more intriguing. So in other words, they normally see weather systems building, they can sound the warning, something like that. This one apparently came out of nowhere. The storm showcased tornadic characteristics nearly, get this, 18,000 feet into the upper levels of the atmosphere.
What?
What?
I've never heard anything like from a tornado. That's crazy.
They're not that tall typically, right? So kind of crazy. This is an indication of a very, very, very strong tornado. By the grace of God, it appears this tornado didn't really hit anything. It occurred in open landscape with little population nearby. Wind, right? So again, we go back to, I don't know, this just feels like weather manipulation again. What are you thinking?
Sure does, doesn't it?
Yep.
You know, and the reality is I believe the deep state's going to throw everything they can at this. And we kind of just have to white knuckle it. You know, if you've ever been on a roller coaster and you have to grab that bar real tight and your knuckles get white because you're holding on so tight. I feel it. We're going to be, here's the part. We're going to be riding one of the fastest roller coasters, most dangerous roller coasters in the world while we're drinking through a fire hose and trying to stay positive. Didn't say it's easy, but yeah. it's necessary.
It's necessary. Well, that's what we talked about, being strong, right? And it's important right now to be working on it. You talked about this months ago. You said, build up your physical strength. I say build up your physical, emotional, spiritual strength, because you're going to need all three, because we're going to go through some rough times. And it's not that you want to be out there and be aggressive and that kind of thing. It's that you want to be able to protect, your environment, your family, your friends, right? Mm-hmm. Your neighborhood. And when we're called to duty on that, and we may not be, but we may be. And, Phoebe and I were talking about that yesterday. She goes, oh my God, those tornadoes are so scary. Watch a lot of little videos that people had posted, and they're crazy. So I could never live there. I'm like, the ground under us.
Because they don't know what to do, when it's going to come, how to be prepared for something like that.
There's
and they
no
don't
warning.
know where.
Yeah, exactly.
And they don't know where they're going to be when it hits. Yep. So it's an interesting phenomenon, but what these tornadoes, I hate to use the word clearly because I don't have the evidence except for circumstantial, but they really seem to be that this is a weather manipulation thing. Yeah. It's just way too odd. And if you look historically, this type of patterns are just not happening.
Right. Not at all. And that's the thing I'm looking at here. I'm looking at this and saying, where in history do you see tornadoes like this? And so many. And there was, like I said, there was a photo of a cloud that had 4 funnels coming off it. I'm like, no, that doesn't happen that way. I've never seen that. And everyone's like saying the same thing, who's been in that area and lived there for many years. And so we've never seen this kind of activity. So, we know this is a battle. We know it's a spiritual battle. We know that there's a weather battle. We know there's a social battle, as we're seeing in our universities right now. And we've got all these different fronts, and people are like, oh, I want this to be over. I want this to be over. Okay, which part of it? Pick one, right?
Yeah. What if the baddies are creating as much disruption as possible? Yep. What if the baddies are creating a lot of these protests that we see in colleges? What if they're creating the weather manipulation? What if all this stuff, and then they'll bring in the Antichrist, and the Antichrist will say, everything's going to be calm. We got this. And then what they do is they just shut down their apparatus to make it look like this person is the second coming. And I could absolutely see that's the direction they're going to go. Yeah. They'll make as much chaos and disaster, and then suddenly there'll be a savior, and next thing you know, all that stuff, they just stop doing it, and then people will say, oh, it's a God thing, when it's a false God. Just something to think about.
Okay, PowerPoint is now working. Thank you for the stall there. You weren't stalling. I know you weren't stalling, but I just want to show you the radar of the the tornadoes. And you tell me what you think of that. This was the one from last night.
I was just going to bring that up for you. I found it online.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
For people who know how to read one of those things, this is insane activity. So yeah, we live in some interesting times, and I think right now people ask what can I do, and the best advice is be prepared, right? And what does that look like? Whatever it looks like for you to feel secure, to feel comfortable in your space, whatever that's going to look like, you know. And yeah, I think a lot of people say this, Lewis. I want to get your opinion on this one too, because I know I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's going to look a lot worse than it actually is," even though it may be false flag, it may be whatever. We know those events are actually happening. The false flag part of it is why it's happening. So you say this tornado is really bad, and then you look at it and you say, "Okay, how did it get so bad? Where did it come from? Oh, it was manipulated," right?
Yeah, people have created in this patriot movement, and they've done this a lot, and I don't fault them, but they've created a false narrative. So, for example, they've many people believe a false flag means it never happened.
Right.
It's just, it's all show, and that's not what a false flag is at all. Generally, false flags do happen, and they may embellish them, and they may have crisis actors also. But the false flags, yes, it wasn't just the radio that's saying they did. They actually did.
Right.
In Oklahoma City, they actually did, drop half of a building. The towers actually fell. Those are all considered false flags because they were created for a narrative. That's what a false flag is. It's not, doesn't mean it didn't happen. It just means the narrative is completely different, and it was done on purpose in order to drive us in a certain direction.
Right. So, how do you feel about the be prepared statement? Is that sort of an accurate thing at this point? Is this something you should be focused on, or
100%.
100%?
100%. It's interesting. A lot of things you're mentioning, I'm going to touch on in Herm Springs, the heat. So
Why does this happen every time? I spoil it every single time. And
it's
we never talk
collective.
about it, right? We never talk about
Nope.
it before. I have
You
no
know,
idea what you're going
it's
to talk
collective. It's collective consciousness. It's the way it's supposed to be.
about. As opposed to collecting consciousness, which is very different than collective consciousness. Friends, I want to remind you to go over to screwbiggov.com if you have not gone this week. Why not? Got to keep up with Lewis. Lewis is a busy guy. He keeps a lot of balls in the air, a lot of plates spinning on sticks. Good to keep up with him there, find out what's happening. Also, if you didn't get your swag for summer, now's the time to do it. And also, you can find Lewis's real and honest social media there by clicking the social media button. And we're going to be changing some of the social media around from what I hear, Lewis. We're going to be adding some groups, removing some groups. What's going on there?
We are, in fact, it's time for us to recruit. So what we're looking for is we're going to be creating a social media network on Telegram where we'll have people, a bunch of you that are involved. It would be a private channel, and hopefully you can help us get out our social media on other platforms like Twitter and Twitter and True Social, everything, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And the reason why we're doing that is because we're being shadow banned across the board now. It's not just one place, it's every single channel we have. So we figured this is a way that we can circumvent the shadow banning is with your help, you reposting us on your own platforms and other platforms and maybe in comment section, things like that. So if you guys are interested in that or interested in being a moderator on one of the social media platforms, please email screwbiggov@protonmail.com. That's screwbiggov@protonmail.com, and just say, hey, you'd like to be a moderator or you would like to be part of our special Telegram network. It's going to be private. And Robert and I will go in there and talk to you guys privately too, as kind of a thank you to you for helping us with this.
Yeah, and there, you won't be obligated to post everything, but grab the ones that make the most sense to you. And we're going to put a number of different posts. We have Lisa working on that, so we'll have different kinds of posts, video posts, and memes, and all kinds of cool stuff that you can put up on your socials, and spread the word of what we're doing here on the Screw Big Gov channel. Cool.
Boom.
You want to
Oh,
follow me?
Renegade Media. Yes.
Renegade Media, yeah, we've got a lot of cool stuff going on there as well. You can find us on Telegram, or you can email me, robert@renegademedia.tv. Any stories, any tips, anything you've got that you think is worthy of sharing, please send it. I cannot respond to every email because I get a lot of email, but I do look at all of them. Maybe not the same day, but I do get to them because there's good stuff in there. And I thank you for sending me your stories and stuff. Okay. This is an interesting one. This next story here. Let me go find it here. We could pull it up. Glenn Beck reposted this, and it wasn't his story. It was somebody else's. Let's see. This was... I don't have the originator of this story. But internal DHS data, Department of Homeland Security, data reveals that 45 plus U.S. cities that hundreds of thousands of migrants have flown into via Biden administration's controversial CHNV. I didn't know what CHNV stand for. The Mass Parole Program. So he's been flying these immigrants over the border, so you don't see them crossing the border, and directly into these cities. The data was obtained by Homeland GOP via subpoena to DHS and was provided to Fox News. The DHS data shows that during an 8-month stretch from January through August of 23, roughly 200,000 migrants flew into the U.S. via the program, with 80% of them. You know where they went? Guess which state they went to? What state would be really cool to turn blue?
Oh, to turn blue?
Mm-hmm.
Texas, Georgia,
and
Florida.
So that's where they all went. So Miami got 91,821 of these people. Fort Lauderdale, Florida got another 60,461. And this is just January through August, so it's 8 months of 2023 that we know of so far. It's an 8-month window. Texas didn't...
Fort Lauderdale. It laughs me. They go to Fort Lauderdale of all places.
Yeah.
Good luck for them.
Yeah. Well, you know what they're trying to do? They're trying to get their guys in there, right? So New York City got 14,000. Actually, there's more than 200,000 now, I think, not necessarily from this program. But Houston, Texas got 7,900. Orlando, Florida got another 6,000 there. Tampa, Florida got another 3,200. They sent 2,200 to Dallas. San Francisco, California got only 2,000. Atlanta, Georgia got 1,700. Well, it's already pretty blue there, right? I guess. Newark, New Jersey only got 1,400. Washington, D.C. got 1,400. Chicago got 496. Not much work to be done there, I guess. Las Vegas got 483. And Austin, Texas, the bluest part of Texas, I believe, only got 171. What say you, Mr. Herms?
Well, I think it's interesting. Remember, we talk about this often, or I do, I guess, is how the Cabal test drives everything before they did it.
Yep.
So they test drove the election takeover in several countries for decades. Then they went in and they tested specifically ballot harvesting in Orange County, California in 2018, and therefore that's one of the major tools that they used in 2020. They test drove in Mesa, Arizona, an airport. It was signed off by Doug Ducey that they did not have to go through customs. They could fly directly from Mexico into there. So I'm sure that was a test for this bigger picture. And then they probably just used whatever paperwork it was. They authorized it, and they're ready to go because they can completely bypass customs. Isn't that fun? But that was tested years ago in Mesa, Arizona.
Wow.
In fact, it's in Cages. We explained it's called the Sky Bridge, and we explained it in the movie Cages.
Yep. Yeah, so the numbers that we're getting at the border, and we were talking about the protests at the universities this morning, and how does that relate to the border? Well, the border is more wide open now than ever, but it's nowhere being covered because what's the big story? What's overtaking the media? All the universities are up in arms. We're going to talk about that in a little bit too, right? Distraction. It's the game they play. Well, they know, if they don't win this election, that border will be shut down and they won't be able to get their people in. So they're getting as many as they possibly can. And now it turns out There's money in that last bill that our Democrat Speaker of the House passed and said, we're going to bring people from Gaza, the Palestinians. We're going to bring them here to America.
Lovely.
Yeah. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? All right, I have a Thumper story for you. This one surprised me.
Okay.
There. So
let me guess. So he's been catching all the gophers, and now he caught a dog.
He caught a squirrel yesterday. So yeah, you're close. He's getting bigger. So I look outside yesterday. We have a fellow that helps us here on the farm, and he was setting the gopher traps. And in the morning he goes and checks them, pulls them out of the ground to see if there's a gopher in it. Thumper's sitting next to him, waiting for him to pull the trap up to see if there's anything in it. I'm like, what did this food do? Did it increase his IQ as well? How does he even know to do that? Crazy. So he's been doing really well. People ask about him all the time, and he's doing so much better and full of energy. And he gets a little annoying sometimes because when he wants his food, he wants his food. And it's like, okay, super sauce it is for you. 3 times today, huh, Thumper? So he was on the verge of extinction. Literally, we were going to put him down. We didn't think he was going to make it. He was doing really bad. And Lewis said, "Why don't you try the pet club food?" Okay, placed an order, joined the system, and put him on it. Well, guess what? This food helps with. Can reverse that. That doesn't have to be the outcome for your pet.
Yep.
So it's really fascinating. I think you should try it. I think it's something that your pet deserves because they give you a lot of love. Why not give them a little support too in return? You'll find the link to Pet Club 24/7 in the description of the video on the channel you're watching it on. And we thank them for their support of our channel. And boy, do we ever thank them because Thumper is so happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Good news. Good news. And now he's following the guy around because he's got the gopher traps in his hand. Thank you. Oh, brother. Yeah. So it turns out, where is it here? I don't have that video here. No, that one didn't load. Yeah, there's 2 videos I couldn't load today. So there's a video and it shows that at Columbia University in New York, there were 3 people breaking in during the night. And when you see the video, what you notice is something very similar to January 6th. All in black, with backpacks on, masks on. Oh, wait a minute, these aren't students, are they? Huh, isn't that interesting? They weren't, they're Antifa. Paid agitators. So Charlie Kirk was talking about that same thing this morning, ironically, and he said there are 2 key confirmations that he has from Columbia University riots. He said, number 1, the criminals who seized Hamilton Hall at Columbia were outside agitators and not the students. Getting the picture, guys? Approximately 300 were arrested at Columbia University overnight, the majority whom are not students there. And they interviewed one of them. You know what the guy said? Yeah, we'll go in there. We're going to get arrested, and we'll be out inside of 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And they know it. They know that's how the system doesn't work. Works in their favor, doesn't work in our favor. So will they stop doing it? What happens if you arrest them and let them out in 24 hours? Are they going to go back and do it again? Or did they learn their lesson? That's it. They're reformed. What do you think?
Yeah. I think it's not new. If you look at any of the BLM riots and the Antifa riots, there's always been agitators. In fact, the CIA is really good at this. Not saying it's the CIA. Oh, no, our CIA would never do it to us, of course. But in other countries, the CIA has planted agitators in to create riots and push people in a certain direction. And now they do it not just to do that, but for optics. They always need the optics, right? So the optics right now is you better support Israel at all costs. So what do? We make, when there's a protest, and it's not always an anti-Israel protest. That's a false narrative from the media also.
Right.
But when there's a and I understand a lot of these are liberals, but we can't throw out the baby with the bathwater. We just have to tell the truth. So when these protests happen, they, of course, the baddies are on all the social media networks, and they're paid to go over there and create more problems, because some people that are in the protest that would have never done anything are a disjointed, unfunctional mental person. That's just the way it is in life. You
Yep.
know what I mean?
Yep.
A lot within those communities, there's a lot. So I call them, in many cases, they're called neutrals. What that means is they will go in the direction that the mob is going. So if the mob retracts, or the mob says, hey, stop, let's not do this, that's where they'll go. If the mob starts breaking windows and doing things, they'll go in that direction. So there's very, very sophisticated operations, and that's what they are. They know exactly what they're doing. They don't have all the agitators together. They'll have them spread out separately, firing up, and then they'll fire up on the outskirts, and they start pushing them in and pushing them in, and then they come together and they create this big explosion, sometimes literally in the middle. It's so planned, it's so programmed. I wish people would wake up to this stuff.
The fact that you're seeing it at universities across the country and it's all the same plan. I mean,
Yeah, it's
what more do
just
you need to know, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned yesterday, all the same signs.
Yep. Yep. All the same signs and the same tents, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Like, wait a minute. How is that
Thank,
possible? Right? They'll go into Costco. Is that what's going on
yeah.
here?
Thank you, George
Yep.
Soros.
Yeah. So Charlie Kirk's quote here is: "People do not realize just how much money and resources the left-wing activists and networks have. They are behind BLM. They are behind Antifa. They are behind pro-Hamas encampments." It's true. A lot of money there. A lot of money. And dark
Yep.
money that we're not even aware of, that doesn't even, election interference. No. It's just they've got
No.
these NGOs that they're using to do this, and they funnel the money through them. And all of a sudden, there's going to be a protest tomorrow. Hey, why are these pallets of bricks showing up here in the road? That's really weird. There's no construction in
Yeah.
the area.
What are they building today?
Yeah, what are they
They're
building
building
today?
they're building a riot.
Yep,
That's what they're building.
literally. Yeah, so people asked yesterday, and like, what do we expect to have going forward? A lot of people are talking about this. Is this where it starts? It starts at the universities, and then the universities will be letting out soon. One of them that was arrested was in tears. You have to let me go. There are finals. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you should
They're,
have thought of that before. You went and did whatever you did there, the
you
protest.
think? Well, what they're going to do is there's going to be somebody in there that ends up getting fed up and unfortunately harming a lot of people,
Yep.
and then they'll throw a Trump hat on him and say he was a Trump supporter.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's one of these things that now they said it'll spread from the universities. It'll go on to the streets, and we'll see it. And that's why I say, it'll get tougher through the summer. We'll have a lot of these kind of protests and riots and things to deal with, and hopefully, we get a handle on it. Seems like they did that at UCLA last night. They got a handle on it after letting it go a little bit crazy for a while. Two groups. And then they clashed in the middle, exactly as you said. I love the masks.
They're cowards.
Cowards, yeah.
Yeah. I think sometimes I'm in opposite world. I got an umbrella to protect me. I'm like, okie dokie. So when they start spraying you with pepper spray, you'll be able to jump behind it, but they hide behind it the whole time. To me, you put an umbrella in front of you, you're more vulnerable because you lose your visual defenses.
Yeah.
It's just so stupid.
Yeah, it is, and the agitators are there, and then they spark it because that's what they want to have. And finally, I think it took them a couple of hours, but around 2 a.m. apparently, they finally called the police, and the police came in force apparently and broke that all up. But that doesn't mean it won't reconvene. Another part of the university, another part of town. Who knows? We'll have to keep an eye on it, but it seems like it's a daily feature right now of our society to have these protests going on.
Yeah, we know they're contrived. Who's contriving them? That's the real question.
Well, that's the real question. Exactly. Yeah. Who's contriving it?
And if they're not yet, will they be funded on both sides? Because that'll create even more division.
Yeah. Well, the division and the chaos is important, but I think of it as balance of power. right? We always look at it from that perspective when you're thinking about stocks, the balance of power, and that whole thing. And this is what this is. If these guys who are in power now lose power, they know a lot of them are going to, be hanging at some point because
Hmm.
they're doing things they know are not even close to being legal. So
Yep. And literally be hanging.
yeah, literally be hanging, and they
So
know it.
they're fighting for their lives.
They're fighting for their
Like
lives.
like we the people fight for our lives in a different way. They fight for their lives because they know their corruption is coming to an end and they will be swinging from a rope. So they're desperate. And we have to understand when you deal with desperation, it's tough.
Yep.
So I used to fight. So I was in martial arts and so on and so forth. And I've done, one big tournament and a couple of little tournaments. And I can tell you, a desperate fighter is the scariest fighter, but he's also the easiest to hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be able to remain calm when your opponent is desperate because he's going to be throwing. It's the same thing that we can equate to this. We're dealing with the desperate deep state. So we need to be calm, we need to be patient, and we need to strategically pick our shot because they are more vulnerable now than ever before, but they're also more dangerous now.
Yep, absolutely true. They are cornered, and they know their time is near. Fulford keeps repeating that every week in his newsletter. So you're kind of seeing it. I mean, we're seeing the things get more desperate. We're seeing they're not waiting anymore. They were doing one thing at a time, and now it's like multiple fronts that we're fighting on at a time. And it gets hard for us because we're like looking, okay, which one should I focus on today? You can't focus on everything. And the reality is, you shouldn't be focusing on any of it because you want to give your attention to taking care of you and making sure you're in a good space. And that's really the best thing you can do. And that's a hard message for people. It's like, I want to do it. We don't have control over a lot of the bigger stuff. We have control over what we have control over. That's where you need to put your attention. Manage
Yep.
those things and get those things in order as best you can. Because when it gets rougher, the sales have to work. If you're not taking care of the sales, you're going to pull them up and they're going to be full of moth holes. They're not going to work. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. You just got to, your infrastructure, you got to take care of. All right. Ready for something different?
I like different.
Okay, here we go.
I actually forgot all about that. that particular one. So on HBH today, or otherwise known as Herm Springs, the Heat, it, it seems right now that we're in some sort of deep freeze. So whether it's the political climate or waiting for disclosures, maybe arrests, or that big day, the 5th of November, as this will be the end to all the spiritual war, I feel that many are frozen in time. And even they put their life on hold, their goals, their aspirations, and their health. It's all frozen. It's all on hold right now because they're waiting and waiting and waiting, no matter what happens. But it certainly reminds me of my favorite Dr. Seuss book, Oh, the Places You'll Go. Now, a particular section, I'm going to read it to you just like I read it to my kids all the time. The waiting place for people just waiting for a train to go or a bus to come or a plane to go or the mail to come or the rain to go or the phone to ring or the snow to snow or waiting around for a yes or a no or waiting for their hair to grow. Everyone is just waiting for the fish to bite or waiting for wind to fly a kite or waiting around for a Friday night or waiting perhaps for their Uncle Jake or a pot to boil or a better break or a string of pearls or a pair of pants or a wig with curls or another chance. Everyone's just waiting. No, that's not for you. Somehow you'll escape all the waiting and staying. You'll find the bright places where boom bands are playing with banner flip flapping. One more, you'll ride high, ready for anything under the sky, ready because you're that kind of guy or gal. So to me, the text of this book is poignant at this time. Why so? Because you matter. You need to be the best you can be right now. We all must stop waiting. Read those books. Start your own at-home business or project. Get fit, get healthy. And of course, find your purpose and be of service. See, we control the narrative of our own life. So what if? What if the public disclosure and any accountability would just stop? We don't see anymore. That'd be terrible. What if there were no arrests? What if it was all public and the baddies get held accountable? What if Trump gets reinstated? What if he doesn't? See, the point is, regardless of the following scenario, everyone needs to be our best. Because when it comes time and we are at our best and moving forward with purpose, it gives us the opportunity to be an amazing warrior if we're called to bad times. And in good times, we can be the conduit for the healing and messaging to others. So do the world a favor and be the best that you can be. No matter how hard you feel your personal situation is, I can guarantee you someone else has it harder and has decided to persevere to greatness. All I can say,
You did it.
you got this.
You do. Thank you, Lewis. That is fantastic. And you're not recruiting for the military, right? Be the best you
Nope.
can be? Good. Good. No, it's a really great line and great message. I think it's a perfect message for this time because, people are feeling the strain, they're feeling the pressure and the depression and sometimes even the hopelessness. And now is not the time to give up. It's like giving up and you keep digging the hole and you're inches away from the gold and you say, screw it. Somebody else comes along, they dig an inch, they get the gold. It's like, so we're going to get there. I think we're going to turn this corner soon enough. And I think by November, we'll really have a clear vision for what the next year is going to hold.
Yep. I
Great
agree with
message,
you.
my friend. Great message. Really love that.
Good.
Okay.
I'm glad you.
Yeah. All right. Quick Numi break. And somebody asked, why don't I swish while we're on the air? 'Cause I didn't
I'll show you why.
spray.
Let me demonstrate
Okay.
why we don't swish, but while we're on the air. Here, me first. One capful. Two capfuls. Oh, spilled it. Okay, there you go. Go ahead, Robert. You continue now.
Continue now, because when you're swishing, you're not able to talk. This is Numi's NutraSwish. This is a glutathione product, and it is a nanoparticleized, not a nanobot, nanoparticleized glutathione. They took the glutathione molecule and they broke it down really, really small. So you put it in your mouth, you swish it around, as Lewis is demonstrating right now. He's our Vanna White today, and it'll be absorbed under your tongue, sublingually, goes right into the blood system, goes right to the liver where it can be put to work. This is the fuel of the liver. They've also got turmeric in here, which activates the glutathione and also helps with inflammation, which is something we all suffer from. That is achy joints, achy muscles, that kind of thing. And we have the Numi Skin, which you spray on your face, and you can see lovely Christine Geyer. We love Christine. She does so much for us. You can see the photo there on the left-hand side with makeup in 2023 and without makeup a year later in February of 2024. Brighter, younger, no wrinkles. I mean, she's just looking great. A lot of ladies are doing that. They're saying, hey, no makeup. And for the ladies, we have Numi Hers. This helps with that time of the month, those kind of symptoms that go on. This is a botanical. This is not glutathione, but it's a botanical. A lot of different herbs in it, and it helps with, especially with hot flashes and stuff, the kind of feedback that we've been getting. And there are a lot of ladies who write to us and say, cannot live without this product. Well, we understand. We can't experience it because we're men, but we understand. Anyway, do you want to find out more about this? The link is in the description of the video of the channel that you are watching now. And we appreciate all of you who support us with your purchases from Numi, and we appreciate Numi's support of our program as well.
And thank you, Ronnie, in chat. She's taking it to a whole nother level today. We appreciate it.
Oh, Ronnie. I'm not watching Ronnie the SBG chat today. I'm watching the Renegade chat. But we need to maybe find a way to integrate them because we have these two different
Yes,
groups.
yes. And we probably shouldn't have Lewis Swish on air anymore. His leg is soaking wet.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
And it's not because I peed. Let me just tell you that
Okay,
much.
good. Good. Well, we need a Vanna White here. Maybe we'll have to have that somewhere.
Yes. I'll be your Vanna White and you'll be my Huckleberry.
Oh, back to elections. This is a Michigan Senator, Jim Runstad, explaining about the legislation that his group just passed.
Elections are run properly.
I don't know that there are words for something like that.
Well, they're kind of telling you, we said they're going to be picking a side. They certainly are picking a side, aren't they?
Yeah.
It is gross. I mean, here's the fact. Remember, I keep saying we're going to have to tear it all down. And the more I think we may have to go all the way back to 1791 at the 10th Amendment. Like everything post 1791 goes bye-bye. I mean, everything. And let's just start from scratch because it is wacky how the deep state corporate structure has really owned us. And they really do own us.
I can't believe this is a constitutional amendment that passed. No, it's not. That's just a bill that passed.
No.
The next story is a constitutional amendment. This is just a bill that passed. And you can't criticize the election. You can't say I want to recount it. They have things that can help you. We just don't have them here.
Amazing.
Good luck.
And we really don't have them here anymore either.
No, and there's a lot that's not in the media about a drug shortage because all our drugs are made in China. And there's a lot of drugs that aren't here now. We have a shortage on a lot of things. So that's kind of interesting. Challenging. Another facet of this war that we're in.
Yep.
So South Carolina, we talked about it on Monday. I showed you the form that all the illegal immigrants were getting from these NGOs that allowed them to register to vote. It's like, what, are you kidding me? Yeah, well, I don't have this here. Yeah, I do have it here. So this is the form. Let's see here if I can bring it up for you real quick. This is the form they were getting in South Carolina. And the voter registration declaration. Now, this was given from a group said every vote matters, every vote counts. So South Carolina said, yeah, I don't think so. We're not going to go along with that. So they actually put together a constitutional amendment. They amended the Constitution in South Carolina after bombshell revelations from South Carolina State Rep Adam Morgan that non-citizens were being given voter registration forms by various agencies. The state legislature has now passed a constitutional amendment prohibiting non-citizens from ever voting. The quote from Adam Morgan is, "Many said this was a non-issue. Then we discovered state agencies sending voter registration forms to non-citizens. These non-issues kept turning out to be major issues." Oh, what a surprise.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was a good turnaround. I kind of like that story.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to start getting our crap together, but like we've been saying here, it's going to start one little small portion at a time because the micro really does fix the macro. And I think people are starting to see that. As long as we keep looking at a federal level, we're going to get nothing done.
Right.
And ultimately, pretty simple, paper ballot, 1 day, same day ID. They even have now you could put a serial number on a ballot so there can never be a duplicated ballot ever. God, that makes way too much sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. There's a serial number on every one of these guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every one of them has a serial number. I mean, how hard is it? We can do it, guys. We did it once. We can do it again.
Robert's flashing the cash. I need to figure out what he's doing.
You got to know what I'm really selling. I ain't selling what I'm telling you I'm selling.
Wow. Holy crap.
Yeah, no, and that's the truth. I mean, if we can have that, people said, oh, it's going to be blockchain, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. It's like, well, blockchain is a secure enclave for data, but if you put garbage in,
garbage out.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at. So that may be a partial solution, that may not be able to hack after the information's in. You can't change it. But how do you know what's going in? And that's where we're having the problems. So, yeah.
Hey, if I look slightly distracted, I'm watching one of my fish attack all the other fish. And I think every once in a while, I have to put this guy in a timeout. I literally take him out, put him in a bucket alone for a couple of days, and then he comes back and he reassimilates into the society we call fish. And it's crazy to watch him because he is just going after everybody in there.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully they can last the next whatever time that we're on here.
Well, we're getting close to the end. We're wrapping up here slowly.
This is crazy.
We got to put a camera on the fish. We need fish cam. Where's fish cam?
Maybe I should be feeding them Numi. He'll calm down. Holy crap.
Well, if you need to go save a life.
Yeah, save a life.
Save
Flush
a
a
life.
fish.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, we want to mention our buddy Lance here, sbgascent.com. Lance Shutler, you saw him last Friday. He was on our show. Gosh, he's so brilliant. He brings so much to the table. He talks about health in a way that keeps you away from the drugs and keeps you away from modern medicine and makes a lot of sense. He's done a ton of research, and pine needle extract is just one of the many products that he's got. He's got pine pollen extract, and there's something about the pine we've been talking about that has a lot of value. Worth giving it a shot. Go over to sbgascent.com, have a look around, look on the website, see if there's something that catches your attention, because the products are just amazing. They're top end, and both Lewis and I, we take them. Phoebe takes them. Everyone uses them, and I think the dirt pills are my favorite.
Yeah, well, it's funny you'd say that because I got a text today from one of our friends in chat. If the person wants to mention their name or not, that's up to them. And it says that, by the way, I get these texts all the time. So does Robert. It says 3 to 4 days ago, I thought I was suffering from allergies, feeling like my sinuses were clogging and I had postnasal drip. Over the weekend, it got worse and it was hard to sleep. And the postnasal drip ended up in my chest. Ooh. And I was having phlegm issues, especially when I woke up. I was using He went through a whole bunch of stuff that he's tried. He says it may not have gotten worse, but it wasn't getting better. He says then he did a couple of things that dried out a bit, but he wasn't feeling better. But then a couple hours ago, I remembered I still had pine needle extract from Lance. I figured that it couldn't hurt to try it, so I did. No more than 2 hours later, I think it had cured me. I'm breathing better, feel no postnasal drip, no cough, nothing in my throat, and I feel like my strength is returning. He's like, that quickly? And it was a 1 milliliter dropper full. That's it.
Yep.
And he said he's going to order more, so on and so forth. But then he says, then he gave it to his wife, right? And she said she felt it working within minutes, and within a couple hours, she felt phenomenal. So pretty amazing. And by the way, you didn't even know about that testimonial.
I did not know about it. But if you look at the slide that we have here, promotes healthy respiratory function, so it directly impacts that. Boosts the immune system and helps the brain and nervous system. Supports healthy detoxification. So yeah, there's a lot of benefit to that pine needle extract. And as a bonus, it tastes really good. It's kind of like, only 1 milliliter. Can I have more, please?
Yeah, really good.
Oh boy. Documents, classified documents. They seem to have been okay when they put them on the pallet, and when they arrived at Mar-a-Lago, all of a sudden they were illegal. Something magical happened along the way. Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's listen to... Yeah, right. Not going to happen either. Where are your subpoenas? Uniparty. There's no subpoenas.
Nope. It's madness.
Yeah.
But I think it's good in the long run.
I'm loving this one thing. I'm loving the disclosure at this level. Right? We had a lot last year, no question. That was the year of disclosure. It really started and really started to steamroll. Now the momentum on it is crazy. There's stuff like this coming out every day. I mean, at the end of this little piece here, shouldn't that be the end of the Jack Smith case on the classified documents?
Yep.
Should never have been brought, first of all.
Never. Well, none of these cases should. I mean, that's what they all have in common, right?
Yep. Yeah, and you would think, okay, now that's enough. Okay, cut it. It's done. It should be over. And Donald Trump's in court. He got a day off today, so he did 2 rallies. And there's someone in our chat that was at the Wisconsin rally, so we'd love to hear more about that. If you can give us a firsthand accounting of it or some videos, if you've got, that would be cool. And certainly, he's sitting in court. Like he said, sitting around and listening to this stuff. Most of it lies. A lot of it exonerates him. Not up there anymore.
Okay, so again, Cash, don't get mad at me. Do you think that this all of a sudden just came to light for the Trump administration, or they've had the information that they knew the stuff and they knew that the indictment was completely set up by them? Do you and the audience, do you believe they didn't know any of this, or do you believe Trump knew it? I think the obvious answer is, of course, they knew it.
Yeah.
So again, they're rolling this stuff out on timing, which gives me more evidence. And people that don't understand that there is something going on in the background, they get very upset with me when I say this, but there clearly is some type of plan going on, because this stuff is always released at the right time.
True. Yeah, somebody had to know what was going on. The judges certainly, or the FBI certainly knew about it. And, the National Archives knew about it. I mean, and all those people that were surrounded around those pallets full of documents knew about it, right? They wouldn't have told him to come pick them up if they were classified and he shouldn't have had them. It's not like he stole them. They gave it to him. And then it's like entrapment. It's like, here, Lewis, just take these documents home. You'll be fine. And as soon as you take them home, they come and raid your house and say, you've got illegal documents. No, you gave them to me. The same people who gave them to you are now telling you you're not supposed to have them. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. But you're right. They probably knew about it a while ago. But like I said, for the normies and us in the community, it's kind of nice to see this stuff coming to light at this point.
Yep.
Yeah. Bring it. Bring it. Bring it. What did Jamie Dimon say? This is kind of interesting. Jamie Dimon, him, the chairman and chief executive officer of J.P. Morgan Chase since 2000.
I mean, it's been fucking scary. Let's be real. No one's surprised.
I like her age. That she's aware.
Yeah. I think there's some context missing from this. Clearly, there's context missing from Jamie Dimon. So we're at 4% because they're now counting people with part-time jobs. If you have
jobs, right, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. If you have 3 part-time jobs, you're participating 3 times in the employment, which drops that percentage down. Yeah. So Jamie Dimon's a manipulative jerk because he knows that.
Right.
In regards to the $6 trillion that were infused into the market, he's not just referring to stimulus checks. So this is where she has it wrong. He's actually referring to a massive divide. So it completely wiped out the middle class, and it gave you an upper middle class and a lower class. That's what we're dealing with. So the upper middle class is infusing a lot of money into the market. So from a consumer spending standpoint, you can manipulate the numbers and you can say, oh, yeah, the consumers are still spending as much. Yeah, but their dollar's not worth as much because what they're spending is costing them a lot more. So ultimately, that's not good consumer health at all. The other problem is who's really taken the hit is anybody that didn't. They weren't part of the medical industry. They were not part of the testing. They were not part of anything in regards to that. Insurance, hospitals, so on and so forth. Those are the ones that probably shifted from middle class down to lower class, and they're getting their asses kicked because everything is more expensive. So, yeah, they're still spending the same amount of money. So, Jamie Dimon, you can pretend that it's all even, but when you're spending the same amount of money and getting a lot less, that's not consumer health. So he's totally manipulating this. She did a great job, but she kind of just took that one part out of context, I believe.
Well, at her age, I mean, I'm glad to see that generation waking up to the realities of what's going on here. I mean, she's obviously looking at it from her perspective and what she's seeing on a daily basis. But a lot of that money. So a lot of that money did go to Big Pharma, went to the big hospitals, and didn't go to her. You know, the kid like her, she didn't get anything. She got a $300 stimulus check. Maybe she got two. I don't know. I don't remember. Right? But that's it.
Yep.
There's nothing more
that's
that
right.
she can see.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So it's the world we're living in, folks. We're going to leave you with a good feeling today and let you know that, we care about you, and we want to make sure that you are looking at this and kind of understanding that not as everything as it seems, right? So a lot of it appears to be a lot scarier than it actually is, and hopefully we're pulling the curtain back enough. Can't pull it back all the way yet. I wish we could. There's Lewis and I always talk about other people knowing more than they share. We know a little bit more sometimes that we can't share, that we've been asked not to share, but that's very rare. There's not a whole lot that we don't share here. We're very upfront, very transparent with it. And just to let you know, things are happening a lot faster now than they have been. So we've got a good interview coming up for you tomorrow. Richard Gage will be joining us. That'll be fun to talk about WT7, what happened there. It'll be interesting to see his perspective after doing all the research that he's done for years on this stuff. Dedicated his life to it at this point, which is fascinating.
I agree.
What have you got coming up, Lewis? Anything on your socials that you're going to be doing different, or?
No, I've been hammering on the religious establishment lately because it just feels like I've been called to do that. Some people get triggered with that, but at this point, I'm in the I don't really give a damn mode.
Yeah,
it's just about it's my opinion. I think religion is division and God is the way, and we need to figure out a way to separate the two of those.
right.
But many of us are still indoctrinated, so they're going to get triggered when I have these discussions. But such is life. Such is life.
And we do the best to make the best of life every day. And there's a lot going on that we want to talk to you about. And certainly over the next couple of days, we'll be bringing more news to you. And we probably have an interview on Friday, too. I don't know. We haven't set anything up yet, but I think we have someone coming on Friday as well, right? There will be a Friday show.
We do. We absolutely do.
Cool. Excellent.
We believe it's going to be Matt, but was not confirmed yet.
Okay. Excellent. Well, Lewis, I appreciate you. Thank you for being here, and go scold that fish of yours.
Well, there's an update, Robert. It appears that she's spawning. And so other than her mate, she's going after everything other fish. So she's just being protection. So now I have a choice. I can either let the other fish eat the eggs, and that's what she's protecting from, or I can cover up the eggs and they might be able to hatch in there, but she'll probably eat them herself. It's been known to happen. So I will figure it out.
Stay tuned as the fish turns.
Yes,
we'll
as
be
the
back.
fish's turn.